Welcome back, friends. It's Dawn with For Grace Creations. And today we have Pondering Purpose number 12, From Trash to Treasure. Remember our last Pondering Purpose? We made this. We took labels, which would have gone in the trash or the burn barrel recycle, and we plopped them all over this brown paper bag. Well, today we are going to take this trash here and make something that is treasure. A journal cover. Something very usable, completely different than what we would have started with all those labels that were hanging out in our recycle bin. So come along with me today and join me in this while we just put some matte medium or glue or gesso, something over all these labels to kind of protect them. Let's also be thinking about what else could we decorate it with. I'm going to take the top ply. I removed the other pieces of the napkin. Usually napkins are like 2 or 3 ply. I removed 1, 2 layer and just have this 3rd layer. And I'm going to put it over the matte medium I put all over. Now you could use Mod Podge, Elmer School Glue, watered down, anything you've got. And then I'm going to put the glue over top of that. That's going to seal in those labels and keep them there. It's going to add a little bit of fun dimension to this project. And we'll just keep going from there and get our journal ready to use. But I have a question. Are you ready for this? Do you ever feel like your life and the circumstances you're going through are trash? You know, do you ever feel just that ickiness of life or stress, anxiety? Do you by any chance remember the story in Genesis about Joseph, who was treated so absolutely horrible by his brothers? I mean, they left him to die and eventually actually sold him as a slave, and he was sent to Egypt. Well, okay, near the end of the story, when Joseph gets to reveal himself to his brothers in Egypt, he says, now this is Genesis 45, verse 8, "So then, it was not you who sent me here, but God." Well, that's a point of view. But then at the very end, Genesis chapter 50, verses 19 to 20, Joseph was actually able to say to his brothers, "You intended evil for me, but God meant it for good to accomplish good things, the saving of many people." It's the same principle of Romans 8:28 that says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." God turned trash into treasure in Joseph's life through all the trials and the suffering of sending him to Egypt. I mean, God allowed all that horrible stuff to happen, but he turned it into something good. He used it for good. What was meant for evil, God used for the benefit of Joseph and the benefit of those around him. It shows me and all of us that no matter what trashy situation we're in, God can and will use it for good. I don't know about you, but that gives me great, great hope. And don't we all need hope, especially in those hard, difficult times of life that really they just feel like trash? Every single bit of pain, the difficulty, trials, suffering that God actually allows in our lives, it has a purpose. He wants to turn trash into treasure in our lives. He actually wants to do that. One of the purposes, for instance, maybe is so our faith is testified and purified and it can grow. You know, I think our faith really does grow the most in hard times. Have you ever noticed that? Another thing is, we never know who else's faith might be growing because they're watching what we're going through and seeing how God actually works in our lives. I mean, really, you never know who's watching. All over the New Testament, for instance, God changes trash to treasure. It's all over. So, for instance, we can look at Matthew chapter 9, verses 9 through 13. So, Matthew, obviously, who is the author of the book of Matthew, did you know that he was a tax collector but should have been doing as the Levites were doing? So, okay, in Matthew 9, verse 9, it says, "And as Jesus passed, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the receipt of custom." So Matthew, the author of this gospel, his name was also Levi, which meant he actually came from the Levites, the priestly class, the tribe that was dedicated to worshiping, ministering. Matthew was a Levite, but instead of worshiping at the temple, doing what the Lord had called him to do, he was actually working for the Romans, sitting at the receipt of custom, collecting taxes. He was, in that day and age, he would have been a cheat, a liar. He would have been despised. Everybody would look at him and just look at him with distaste, rolling their eyes, and you never know what they were thinking. But just think, the worst thing in that time were the tax collectors. But the Lord, however, has a way of seeing the good in people, including you and me, and he saw potential, even in a man like Matthew, even in us. So it goes on and it says, Jesus said to him, "Follow me." And Matthew arose and followed him. Jesus is like, "Follow me, Matthew. Come on. Others might spit on you. They might talk behind your back. They might roll their eyes or turn their backs on you. They're totally avoiding you. But I'm willing to work with you. And I'm willing to work in you." And the gospel message tells us that he got up and he left everything and he followed Jesus. It's a choice. Matthew had a choice. The Lord wanted to take Matthew's life that was full of trash and turn it to treasure. And you guys, he wants to do the same thing with us. Don't lose hope. Friends, I don't know what's going on in your life right now, but can I just ask you to remember this? God can turn trash into treasure. He actually wants nothing but good for you. He's got a good plan and a purpose for you, no matter what's going on in your life. The question is this: are we, you, me, are we going to trust God in the trials? Will we patiently wait to see how he potentially is going to show up and use this trashiness for good? God is in the business of turning beauty from ashes, trash to treasure. That's what God wants to do. Will we choose to let him? Will we choose faith? That's the question. Now, I'm not saying that the suffering and the hard times that we go through are good when we're in them. I'm not even saying that we're for sure going to see the reason behind it. It might not be till we get to heaven, till we see the purpose of the hard times we went through. But we have to choose to trust the Lord that he's got a plan that's good for us. So I really am praying, friends, that not just me, but you as well, we can remember that God is in the business of restoration, repairing, refreshing, and we really can trust him if we just choose to, right? And that's just what I wanted to discuss today a little bit as we're making this journal cover. See here on the inside, I've put a piece of fabric. To me, it's pretty. It's got these beautiful colors that I would never even think to put together, but it's turning this piece of paper bag that normally would go in the recycle, never to be thought of again, into something useful. Now, granted, when it was first made, it was made to be used for groceries, but its purpose was over, but look, we've given it new purpose. And it's funny because the Lord does that for us. Even when we don't recognize he's doing it and we may not understand what's happening, but look now, look close. Isn't that cool? We can see the labels a little bit underneath, but we've got this really pretty print from the napkin, and the edges have a little bit of fun from that fabric on the other side. Now, I used Fabrifix, but you could use any glue that is for paper to fabric. You could use your sewing machine, but if you don't have one, obviously, you can't use one. Now, here's where I'm going to speed up the video, and we're going to just build that front cover up and see what we can get. I'm adding an eyelet here, and gonna put a closure in, and then I'm gonna put this little whatever it's called on the spine so I can add a spine dangle as well. And then I'm thinking, let's add even more to build this up. Little tiny, not paper clips, but you know, pins, safety pins. Okay, some sari silk as a closure, because I don't know if somebody's going to want to purchase this without it decorated. Once I put the signatures in, if they want to purchase it with undecorated signatures, or if I'm going to decorate it, but I know this. If I decorate it, it's going to be a gator mouth, and so it's going to need a closure. And so this sari silk can just wrap around here perfectly. Do you see that book that I put in there? That's just my glue book, and it does help when you're trying to work with this to see how big it's going to be on the inside. Anyway, I just put that empty book in. I love this fabric, and this journal has turned out fantastic. So you can email me. I'll leave my email in the description box, but if you want to purchase this, I am going to go ahead and add at least 3 signatures, but here it is, guys. Woohoo! She's done. Yeah, after thinking about it, I've come to the conclusion that I will add 3 signatures in here, maybe 2, but they're going to be a good amount of papers, and I will not decorate it for a while. That way, if you want to claim this, all you have to do is email me. Let me know. We'll figure that out, whether you're in the United States or outside the United States. Doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. And if it's not claimed, then after a while, I might begin to decorate the signature pages that I put in here. And then once I do that, I will put it in my Ko-fi site. I will also list my Ko-fi site down below just so you can check that out. I have physical products in there. I have some journals, some journal covers, some journals that have blank pages in them, and the covers are blank so that you can decorate them yourself. But that is my plan for this Trash to Treasure journal. I just want to thank you for being here, and let me know in the comments if you, I love this, if you need some prayer, because I would enjoy being your behind the scenes prayer warrior. We all need that. Now, I might go ahead and make a journal tassel for this if I don't already have one created, because I think it would be fun for you to be able to get this with the tassel. And obviously, because this is here, I'll use a clasp so it is a removable tassel as well. That way, if you don't want to use it on this journal, you could use it for something else and build your own here. Yeah, so I will be back next month with another Pondering Purpose number 13. Until then, I will see you guys later. God bless you. Bye-bye.